Top Left Project's a gender-based violence prevention project.
Funded by Women's Status of Canada.
So we look a lot at like privilege and like, so what is privilege? How does it affect people in our communities? How does it affect ourselves? And how do we, like, after we know what our privilege is, like, how do we use that privilege to like help people who might not have it so easy in our like day-to-day lives?
Like, privilege is really easy to not look at. And so I think that Top Left does a really good job of giving focus to those places that are invisible. So that might be, you know, giving a focus to men within sexism, or giving a focus to white folks within racism, and understanding how people benefit from identity markers. Because, yeah, I think it's easy for folks who experience privilege to walk through the world and not see it. That's how it operates, and that's how it replicates itself.
I've learned a lot about how normalized violence is as a way of solving conflict with specifically the youth that I work with in Saskatoon. A lot of feedback that I've got from the youth is that they have to be violent, they have to use violence. Violence is basically they have to always have that attitude and that walk and show that they're tough, show that things don't hurt them, that things don't faze them. Otherwise they become victims of violence themselves. So they're almost having to project these like ultra-violent personas in order to protect themselves in the community, even if they don't always feel that way themselves. So
I connected really closely with that topic because I have lost my own mom to violence.
Whatever I learned from Top Left or from the meetings, I thought that I was able to take that and use it, you know, in my everyday life and use it wherever I went, and I was able to speak about it confidently.
Top Left has been huge in, in, I guess, bringing to light people's responsibility. Because responsibility lives in privilege, and change only happens when people can be willing to let go of that privilege, because ultimately everybody benefits when that happens.
I think Top Left, I guess, helps people build into a more progressive identity and like showing youth that they can change the world that they live in. So I guess it can also help youth like come to terms with their own identity and help.
For me, identity is a way of understanding how I want to move and be in the world. And I have found over the past few years in getting to know and understand myself better that it's the places in which I struggle in the world that mean the most to me in terms of my identity. And I think that other people, even if my identity markers that mean the most to me are different from someone else's, it's that shared struggle that is the commonality, and that I can connect and have empathy with people because of that shared struggle. And yeah, so for me, like, queerness is a big one, and for other folks that might be being racialized or, you know, coming from a place of poverty. But I think that if we can connect over struggle, then the movement that comes from that is pretty profound.
Top Left kind of evolved into a little bit more of a support group and a sharing system for the youth. And so they felt comfortable opening up and sharing about past experiences and really personal, deep stuff that they probably hadn't shared with anyone before. So
it's just made me keep my chin up and able to keep going and not feel like I'm not worth it, and that I have people there for me when I need them.
Now I'm a leader at CNYC. A lot of the kids follow me because of the stance that I'm trying to make and fighting for rights, and that's what I kind of found out too, is the youth have a leader that they can relate to. They'll try and walk in those footsteps to make a better future for the younger youth.
Just a different setting. I used to hang out with like abusive people and not happy people and angry people, and now that's all I hang out with. is happy people and just a better aura and setting for me.
It will open the eyes of the people who see it, like how they understand it before, then after.
I guess you won't be able to really know what I feel and what I see on a daily basis until you actually join Top Left, until you actually come to these conferences, until you actually get a feel for it, until you see how free people can be in these conferences. Like last year, it blew my mind how many people just wore whatever they wanted. They acted however they wanted. They did what they wanted to do because it was in a safe environment conference.
I can see it continuing in the community or a group because it's very impactful and it spreads a lot of awareness to young people everywhere, because this topic of like gender-based violence is not really talked about in most places, and this group opens your mind about it and lets you see that everything's not as you perceive it to be. There's more out there that you're not really taking in and noticing that needs to be discussed with young people, because this is a very serious topic that needs to be dealt with because it's linked with a lot of other serious topics.
It is like a fundamental responsibility to sit down and take a look at yourself and really understand where you experience privilege in the world and where you experience violence in the world, and to sit with the fact that everyone experiences both, but to take responsibility for the places in which we do experience privilege, and not allow our other identity markers to, give us a free pass through the world.
Don't hurt somebody's feelings.
Violence isn't the way, you know? There's many ways you can look at things. You don't always have to hit someone for them to understand.
Everyone deserves safety in the world, and that depending on our identities, people will have varying levels of responsibility for taking that on.
Gender-based violence exists and is prevalent in all of our lives in whatever manifestations that is, and youth need to be the ones to take that on.
How brought this Top Left to life, I don't think any of us would be here.